One of the worst dropshipping product ideas that I hear people talking about all the time and ask me about all the time is dropshipping furniture. And here's what I say to them. Do not dropship furniture. If you hear me say that, you probably might think, but hey John, hang on a minute. I see people and I see businesses that dropship furniture out there in the market already. So if they can do it, surely I can do it too. And that's true. There absolutely are websites and businesses out there where furniture is dropshipped. In fact, one of the biggest homewares retailers, online retailers in the US, for example, is Wayfair. Wayfair started off as purely a dropshipping business, and they sell all kinds of furniture for the home and office, and now today they have a whole bunch of their own brands that they also sell as well. When I say don't dropship furniture, I'm talking to somebody who is at the start of the journey, so who is looking to start a high-ticket dropshipping business or any dropshipping business today. Just because there are businesses that started 15 years ago, like Wayfair, that are dropshipping homewares, dropshipping furniture, doesn't mean that you can start one today and expect anywhere near that success. They started at a different time, in a different environment, in a different market, and what was true then is not necessarily true now. It's not impossible to dropship furniture, it's just really, really hard to make it successful at the moment. And the reality is that there are literally hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of other ideas out there and other products and other niches that you could dropship in, which you will have a much higher chance of success. Saying not to dropship furniture may also sound counterintuitive. People will say, well, but it's a really big market, John. Like everybody has furniture. Surely it's such a huge market online that there's going to be space and there's going to be sales for me. And once again, that's also true. Furniture, which sits inside the homewares category, so products for the home, is a super massive market. It's one of the biggest online segments out there, and there is tons of money washing around in that segment. And, you know, it can be enticing to think that you could grab a part of that. But there are some very specific reasons why it's very, very difficult to do that as a beginner. I'm going to run you through those. So the first thing is just competition. There is a lot of competition in the homeware space. It's one of the most competitive spaces out there. In fact, I was online looking at some Google shopping ads just today to see what the landscape was like on some furniture products like lounges, dining tables, dining chairs, things like this. And there were literally 50 to 60 websites selling exactly the same product, mostly at exactly the same price, and mostly with exactly the same offer, like the same shipping, the same returns policies. And so it was really difficult to say, well, I should definitely buy from any one of those websites. And so once again, some of those websites have really big budgets. They're spending a lot of money on ads. They're doing a lot of things right on the search engine optimization space to have them show up in search engines near the top of the listings. And so as a new business coming into that space, it's very difficult to demonstrate differentiation or why somebody should buy from you in a very competitive market like that. But it can also be very expensive to get your products in front of the right search terms as well. So the first reason it strikes out is that it's just too competitive. And that's not surprising. It's a big market. Everyone knows about it. And you see this in other markets that are also very large. For example, if we looked at consumer electronics, which would be things like white goods, washing machines, dryers, refrigerators, very, very competitive. Everybody needs them though, but they're very, very competitive. Baby products, for example, once again, very, very competitive because everybody knows new parents like to buy stuff for their babies. So there's plenty of businesses that are already in there and wanting to sell those products. And both of those other examples are definitely things I should say you should not dropship. So it's very competitive. Secondly, and this is something that a lot of online gurus won't tell you about. One, they won't tell you about the competition element when they're telling you what to pick. But number two is there's not really a lot of branding in the furniture space. So there's tons of manufacturers out there. There's tons of brands. But when I say branding, in the case of running a dropshipping business, customers are not searching for most of those products by brand, right? And so there's not much brand recognition. There is some more towards the top of the market, so the more high-end, higher price tag products, which is interesting. But for the bulk of the market, there's not a lot there. And so customers are searching for products based on what color they are, what material they're made from, what size they are. And so coupled with high competition, this actually makes it much harder as a new business to get really low cost, high conversion traffic to your site in the beginning, which is kind of sometimes what you need just to get the ball rolling, to make your first sales, to make a little bit of profit that you can then invest back into more and more marketing. With furniture, you have to target much more high volume, broad search terms, which come often with a much higher cost, which in the beginning can be really hard to bear when you're going up against much larger companies that hold stock and have much larger marketing budgets than you. So the high competition, lack of branding makes it hard. But then there's a couple of elements that we can throw in here. The first is the cost of shipping relative to the price of the products. So the majority of the furniture space, it's kind of mid-ticket to high-ticket. So you'll know we talk a lot about high-ticket dropshipping, which is dropshipping products with an average price of over $1,000. That's generally what we aim for. And if you can get up into the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, or $5,000 mark, that's great. You can even do above that. There's a lot of furniture out there that kind of sits around the, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 mark. And that's not bad furniture, right? Some of those pieces of furniture are going to be pretty decent. But the problem is they're very bulky. And in some cases, they're very bulky and very heavy. And so the shipping costs on those products can be quite high, particularly if you're shipping it a little bit away from metro areas. And so once again, why is this a problem for you? Well, in the beginning, the ratio of the price point to shipping is not good. So as in, it's not particularly high ticket, but the shipping cost is much higher than a lot of other high ticket products just because of the size of the products. And somebody's got to pay for that shipping. Right? Now, often with high ticket products, you can offer free shipping and take the cost of shipping out of your margin and still be profitable. But because of, a product that might be $1,000 and costs $400 to ship, you can't really do that with dropshipping margins, or at least it's very difficult and is going to leave you with a very thin margin after you've paid for those expenses. But that in and of itself might be manageable. But when you couple it with the sort of competition that you face here, you're going up against a lot of businesses that are buying in bulk and they're shipping from their own warehouse, and they've been able to get the cost of shipping down as a result of having more volume, which once again means that they can compete better than you can when it comes to logistics and the exercise of shipping. And their cost of shipping may often be lower, coupled with the fact they might be buying the product cheaper than you in the first place because of the volume they're doing. So this makes it, once again, the competition coupled with the lack of branding, coupled with the high shipping cost, high shipping to value ratio of the products, makes it a much less appealing and possible market to go into. But there's one more thing that I'll throw in here that we know from seeing a lot of people go into these sort of spaces. Even myself, I have sold things like furniture and lights and other homewares in the past, so I know this firsthand. I definitely wouldn't do it again, and I wouldn't recommend doing it, is that for a lot of suppliers who you're going to work with in this space, the margins are not very good. So it's a high competition space, and because of that, there's a lot of big retailers in there, and what they do for a lot of brands is they try and screw their margins down a bit, right? To get the volume that you can get in a market like this. And so while there's going to be outliers, there's going to be some brands that have great margins, a lot of the really good selling products in the furniture space tend to come with lower margins. When we're talking about gross, I'm talking about 20% or less. Now, 20% is doable in most niches, but when you couple it with, once again, the high shipping costs because of the shipping cost to value of the product ratio, when you're talking about the lack of branding, so you can't get a lot of really cheap, high converting traffic, and you couple that with the higher than ideal competition in this market, all of those things meld together to create a niche that is a really bad proposition to run a dropshipping business in, and a really difficult proposition to start a new dropshipping business in. That's why I say, do not dropship furniture. Now, the great news is that there are plenty of other niches out there that you can do and that you can do really successfully. In fact, as I said earlier, there are hundreds and hundreds. It's not that hard to find them if you follow the right process. You can use AI tools like ChatGPT to help you do the research necessary. But if you think about the things that I've said are a problem here for furniture, let's flip that then and say, well, what are the things that you're looking for? One of the big guiding lights I would put out here is don't look to sell products that people need. Look to sell products that people want when it comes to running a high-ticket dropshipping business. So furniture is a kind of a need product. Like people buy a dining table because they need to sit somewhere to eat. People buy lounges and chairs for their lounge room in front of their television so they can sit on something when they watch TV. Yes, there's people who buy more expensive furniture that don't really need to buy super expensive furniture. They just do it because they want to. And I think maybe the luxury furniture space would be slightly more appealing than the rest of the market. But even then, I think it's a bit of an iffy proposition, and I'm not recommending people do that. But generally, people have furniture because they need it. You need a bed to sleep on. You need seats to sit on, all of that sort of stuff, right? It's the same for, as I mentioned earlier, consumer electronics. People need a washing machine to wash their clothes. People need a refrigeration or a freezer to keep their food fresh and safe so that they can eat it. And so because those markets are so big, the margins tend to be lower, the competition tends to be fierce because they're so big. And there are definitely people winning in those spaces. But as a new business, it's very, very difficult unless you have a really, really big budget to start off with. When you go to products that people want more than need, you tend to see a different story. You tend to see, and it's not always the case, there are always outliers, but you tend to see better margins. You tend to see less competition. They are smaller markets, right? Which is fine. You often see higher average order values and higher product prices. And so, they tend to be a better proposition. So what am I talking about there when I say want? Well, let's take the example of maybe golf simulators, right? So people don't need to buy golf simulators. People who love golf, they can go and practice their swing at a driving range, practice their putting on a putting green. They could practice just by playing the game out on a golf course. But there's tons of golfers out there who buy golf simulators for their garage, for their basement, for their home, so that they can have the convenience of practicing their game in that setting. And these things sell, like bundles of these things can sell for $5,000, $7,000, $10,000. And people buy them online because they want to buy them because they're passionate about playing golf, about improving their game, about looking better in front of their buddies who they play golf with. There's a whole range of motivations there. But that's the type of product that you want to sell. Something that people want to buy, that they're passionate about. One, it makes the marketing much easier. You tend to find a lot more branding in those spaces and recognizable branding that are not so big that the brands are household names, like you might see, for example, with white goods, but they're just big enough that they're really well known for people who have that passion. But anybody else who does, like somebody who's not a golfer, isn't going to know a lot of golfing brands. Somebody who is a golfer is going to know a lot of golfing brands. And so that's kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for products that have branding. You're looking for products that don't have high competition, but have some competition, right? Because competition indicates that there is a market for the products there. It's just you don't want to see too much. Now, people will ask me like, well, what is too much? And I guess it's a little bit gray, but for me, if I was in the US market, I would be looking at not wanting to see more than 15 to 20 competitors in Google Shopping ads. And I just like to use Google Shopping because it's a really easy way to gauge competition. I would not want to see more than that for a range of the brands that I'm looking to sell. If I see some outliers that are that high, it doesn't matter. But if most were around like, say, 10 serious competitors who regularly shop in the ads, I'd be like, that's cool. Let's do it. So that's what I'm looking at. You want to see and it can be a little hard to estimate this, but if a product is really big and bulky, and I mean like a lounge, like a 3-seater lounge or something like that, and it's only $1,000, it's going to be hard to ship it profitably. Large products are not a problem, and I've seen people sell some really large products with dropshipping businesses, but they have to be higher value. So if it's a really big product, you want it to be like $5,000 plus. In most cases. And I'm just talking about averages here, and there's always outliers, but that's generally the rule. If it's going to be big, it needs to be expensive. And I mean, like, what's expensive to one person is different to others. When I say expensive, I'm talking about $5,000 plus and anywhere upwards from there. And so that's what you're looking for. And so if you're thinking about starting your own high-ticket dropshipping business, like I say, Go and start building a list of product ideas and look for product ideas that are high ticket that you can see there are brands for, and those will be your suppliers. So what are the brands on the product? Look for ones where there's not too much competition. Look for products where the shipping doesn't look like it's going to be too difficult and you're going to be pointed in the right direction. And if you'd love to get a step-by-step on how we do the exact process, if you'd love to look over my shoulder as I identify great dropshipping products that you can sell online right now, including how I use AI tools to help me with that process, we got a $27 course called the Passion to Profit Blueprint that you can get right now at Dropship Breakthru, spelling Breakthru, breakthtru.com/passion. You can get that course. It'll take you through the whole process. You'll come out at the end of it knowing exactly what products you should sell in your high-ticket dropshipping business. And as part of that, you'll get access to our niche verification service where my team will personally, hands-on, vet your choices and give you the green light. We'll say, yes, the things you've picked to sell here are the right things to pick and to sell, or we'll say, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that one. Let's find something else. And we'll do that as many times as we need to until you find the right product. So I hope this has been useful, and good luck out there finding your first products to dropship.